Hello, everyone. This is BizChicks TV. This is the place where you can find tips and tools to help you do business better. We're here to help you run a profitable business that's fun to run and to take the hassle out of your hustle. And today I'm here with my friend and co host, Miss Francine Gregory, real estate entrepreneur and tech diva. I'm Terralina from California Cover Ups, and we're the Biz Chicks. Today, we're here with the Tech Diva Weekly. You know, we like to do a roundup at the end of the week to show you and share with you some of the different things that are happening in the world of tech. We want to give a shout out to everybody listening in the clubhouse, to those of you watching live and on the replay. We just want to say welcome, welcome, welcome. We're so glad that you took time out of your day to come in and join the conversation. Now, don't be scared because we're going to be talking tech in English. We're going to be breaking these things down. It, and this is a safe space, so all is well. And we always like to get started with This Week in Tech. But before I do that, I just want to say, how's it going, Fran?
Oh, everything is going very, very well today. It's Friday. It is like way cold in Sacramento. We're not supposed to be at 27, 28
Mm,
degrees right now, but there we have it. It's
I
cold.
didn't realize it was quite that cold.
Well, I'm sure it warmed up some, but
Mhm, mhm.
last check it was like 20,
Wow.
28. Anyway, we're not supposed to be below
It's
freezing.
cold enough to snow.
Right.
That's why when you said 27, I thought, I'm thinking snow. Excuse me, I'm from Pennsylvania, and it just kicks in because the reason I came to California was to
Away
avoid
from the cold.
snow.
Yes. Hey,
Oh
Dr. Tachi.
my God. Yes, so I'm like, oh, 27. Good morning, Doc.
So, yeah, this week in tech history,
Hmm.
let's see what we got going on. I
Okay.
saw some pretty interesting um, articles. The first internet only bank, February 22nd, 1999. The first internet bank of Indiana opens, becoming the first full service bank accessible only through the internet. And uh, the author of this post said, "Who knew it would take a couple of Hoosiers to start the first internet bank?" That's kind of interesting because that just became a thing recently where people, I guess, embracing them now.
People trust them more.
Right,
I remember when the Orange Bank online bank opened up, and they were trying to get people to deposit funds.
and people were like, I don't know.
I can't get to talk to a teller until what? I think you what the other thing that forced people, not forced people, but made people receive it better was when the brick and mortar banks started charging you to talk to a teller.
Yeah, and they were like, look, if I wanted to, okay, we could just,
So if I
yeah,
can't talk to a teller, why not use an online bank that's free?
right. And some of those are, some of the banks still are trying to charge these little fees for this, a reg d fee and a this fee and a that fee, where the online banks have gotten away from doing those things, making it more um, palatable to do business with them, more
Ex-
inviting. Yeah.
Exactly. They're
All
like,
right.
we're gonna make our money off of your money. We're gonna invest your money. Just get let us hold your money.
February 23rd, 1455.
Hmm.
Maybe not the exact date, but 1455 is generally accepted as the date that the Gutenberg Bible was first published. This was the first book on record to be printed on movable type. Until that point, books were copied by hand. Obviously, this was a slow and laborious process.
Hmm. And the job of a scribe was highly valued.
Right.
And the other thing was that everybody couldn't read and write.
No. And so people were at the mercy of other people who could read and write,
Mhm.
and they were like the authority figures. Well, they said, okay, but you couldn't check it.
Mm-mm.
So
So
that person,
literacy was key.
right. Radio gets controlled. February 23rd, 1927. The Radio Act of 1927 is signed into law. The act creates the Federal Radio Commission, the
Mm.
FRC, which will later be replaced by the Federal Communications Commission,
Mm.
FCC. Ironically, the act claims to recognize broadcasters' rights to free speech, yet the Federal Radio Commission solely controls allocation of licensings, frequencies, transmitter power, and broadcasting hours.
Oh, so you can say whatever you want, as you say it out the window if you don't have a license.
Pretty much. So there, and then if Dr. Tachi, if I'm not mistaken, they were at one time trying to include internet underneath that whole thing too. Um,
I'm sorry, repeat. Are you talking about for the FCC?
yes.
Yeah, well, internet is included underneath the FCC. Are they doing a good job of regulating regularly?
Yeah. So it's supposed to be regulated. Yeah.
Well, if you don't know what you don't understand what you're regulating, it's hard to write regulations. And as it is, the federal government tends to write broad regulations and then say to the states, and you fill in these different blanks. So, something like communication across the airways, that's a concern if you start chopping it up and giving people the right to say things in this state, not say things in that state. Bless them.
Right. So the first mobile phone virus. Now we don't normally hear about mobile phones getting viruses, but this one happened in February 23rd, 2005. The discovery of the first mobile phone virus, Cabir, Cabir, is announced. Specifically, Cabir is a worm which infects phones running the Symbian OS. Whenever an infected phone is activated, the message Caribe, Caribe, is displayed. Infected phones also attempts to spread the virus through Bluetooth signals. And I don't think that is a situation anymore. That is why when your phone provider, or not your provider, when your phone, Apple, who was the other people?
Android.
Not and just Samsung, LG,
Oh, the maker.
whoever the maker is, when they tell you to do an update, please do it. They're not trying to get you to not do it. And we can't be lazy and not do the updates, because our phones will not function the way we want them to function if they're not updated properly. The apps don't work right, and things, maybe they've discovered a vulnerability, aka a virus, and they're trying to protect from that.
Or backdoor into something.
Right. Okay, February 24th, 1949, the first U.S. rocket to reach outer space, Bumper 5, is launched from the White Sands Proving Grounds in New Mexico. The rocket was a modified German V2 ballistic missile. It reached a record altitude of 244 miles, which broke the unofficial record of 117 miles. Reportedly set by a V2 missile launched by Germany in 1944. The later name and established Kármán line, which is 62.1 miles, 100 kilometers above the Earth's sea level, is considered the upper limit of Earth's atmosphere and the beginning of outer space. So hold on a minute. 62 miles up is space?
Evidently. I don't know much about space. I can't.
Well, I'm just trying to determine, like 62 miles, 60 something miles from here would be little past, we'd be like in Modesto or Manteca if we were heading south, right?
Okay.
So
yes.
that's not.
It's not far.
No, going up though.
It's 1 hour away at 60 miles an hour.
Right.
Okay, but going straight up at how many miles an hour?
Well, you're gonna have to go pretty fast to get past. So, and they said 244 miles up. That's into space. Okay.
Mm.
Still not okay. First phone and TV satellite relays, February 24th, 1962. The first satellite telephone and television relays are established through the communications satellite Echo 1. The satellite was basically a big metallic balloon that simply bounced microwaves off its surface. Simple but effective.
Every time you start talking about satellite phones, I think about things like Shaft and they come on a big brick of a phone,
Yep.
almost the size of a shoebox. Uh, yeah, heavy. Those phones were heavy.
Right. So here we go. Let me do this next story. First check photographing device patented. February 25th, 1925. The first
Mm.
bank check photographing device patented. Patent is issued in the US to its inventor, George McCarthy, who called it the checklograph. The machine photographed checks onto 16 millimeter motion picture film using a conveyor belt. The Kodak company bought this invention in 1928 and marketed it under the Recordac division. Okay,
Mm.
so they were scanning checks and doing mobile
In
check.
the 20s?
1925.
Wow.
Last story.
Hmm.
What did you say, Dr. Tachi?
It's interesting to do that in 1920, but now people act like they can't do any of this.
I mean, I don't know how to take a picture of my check and send it in. Okay. I'm sure it was a lot more difficult in 1925.
Exactly.
February 25th, 2010, Apple announces that it has sold its 10 billionth song through its iTunes stores. The 10th billion song, Guess Things Happen That Way by Johnny Cash, was purchased by Louis Soker of Woodstock, Georgia, whom Apple awarded a US $10,000 iTunes gift card. It took Apple over 5 years to sell its first 5 billion songs, but only a year and a half to sell its second 5 billion
Hmm.
songs. And that is your week in tech history.
Wow, that was interesting. Especially I think about the check cashing. I think about how easy it is to process payments now, to send money to one another,
Mm-hmm.
all through the phone lines and
It,
wirelessly, and I can deposit my checks. I don't have to leave home if it's snowing. I don't you know what I'm saying? I just take a picture and it's in there, and
right.
it's accessible to me. So that was interesting that it's started way back in the 20s. Hmm.
Convenience is now a thing. And before, maybe people were thinking you're not working hard enough to earn, you know what I mean? And it's like when you I remember having to clean the bathroom on hands and knees,
Hmm. Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Well, we have Swiffer and other such items now. It is not necessary for me to be on my hands and knees to do, but sometimes people think, well, it's not really clean if you don't do it that way. And I think convenience is thought of in that matter. It's not really the thing if you didn't work hard to make it happen.
Mm.
And that is exactly the point. I think there's that whole thing now about working smarter rather than working harder. Remember, back in the day, laziness was basically a crime. Think about vagrancy was a crime. So anything that had any semblance of lazy was avoided. So therefore, even if there was an easier way, you always convince yourself, well, this is the better way because it was tied to uselessness and laziness.
Mm. Mm.
Right. And I was like, oh,
Wow, that was enlightening. Thank you, Doc. I hadn't thought about it that way. Wow.
yeah, that's interesting.
Mhm.
That's your week in tech history.
All righty. Well, I've got a couple of items that I want to talk about. And the first one is the pod-based ice cream machine. It seems that someone has invented a machine where you can actually put pods in there and it will produce your ice cream for you. I thought that was amazing. We've got a coffee maker, right? The Keurig, where you put the little
Pot in there, yeah.
pod in there, and it makes your
Yeah.
ice cream. Well, I mean, makes your coffee. Now they've got one that will make your ice cream. And it says this machine uses a pod-based system to create frozen treats, including ice cream, cocktails, and coffee. The company behind the machine is called Cold Snap. They say they want to change how these types of products are made and stored, in doing so, and by doing so, significantly reduce emissions, because now the time and effort you spent shipping stuff around, freezing, keeping the ice cream frozen, moving it in frozen trucks, storing it in freezers at the at the grocery store, you can avoid all of those carbon emissions in the production of ice cream by simply using these pods, which I thought was an interesting marketing approach. You know what I mean? To go green. Yes.
Right.
Absolutely. Can you tell me again what it makes? So, is it anything frozen, or is it
It
just
appears that it pretty much does anything frozen. It says included in this system is ice cream, cocktails, and coffee. So this particular machine will do ice cream, cocktails, and coffee.
It sounds like a slushy machine.
the Snoopy snow
It,
cone?
it looks a
Yeah,
lot
there
like
we go. The
looks,
Snoopy snow cone machine. That's exactly what it sounds
yeah,
like.
it looks like a coffee maker. I think the only difference is the content of the pods.
Right. Well, I think the pods would hold the flavorings or whatever, and then it's injected through some rice, not rice, ice, like a snow cone.
More than likely. I mean, I can't see how else it does this unless there's some kind of free zone or something in here, like a,
It's a snow cone maker.
yeah. But it looks like ice cream, and according to the video, the guy says it tastes great, and it's thick like ice cream. It's not like a slushy. Now, I guess when you make the cocktails, the margarita gives you that slushy. Maybe it has different settings.
Go ahead, Dr. Tachi.
Well, I was going to ask, you all, people in Clubhouse, people on everywhere, whether or not it feels like we're trying to, I mean, we're always trying to get new things. There's always a new device, a new gadget. Air fryers have been the hottest thing since sliced cake. Sit for a while to sliced pound cake. The Nespresso and the Keurig machines are hot. So it feels like, there are so many machines coming up, but are we at the point where we're trying to reduce? Meaning, do we think that function would be taken up someplace else? Like, for example, I'm thinking how you have ice makers and things in your refrigerators. Could it be that they would have maybe a Samsung refrigerator that could have this same function? Or some where they're combining things as opposed to all these separate appliances to do this?
I call them counter clutterers. Yeah.
Right. Because, okay, so now I saw in a home with I guess it was a home I was showing, there was a refrigerator that had the Keurig coffee maker in the refrigerator, not inside the refrigerator, but
Built
it
into.
was built into the refrigerator. So you can come in and punch the thing and make your coffee without it being up on the counter, right? There was the
Yes.
ice maker was there. And I'm like what Dr. Tachi is saying, all those appliances are now built into the front of your fridge. Oh, kind of like that. What was that back in the 60s where you had all of those compartments and stuff and you push a button? Vending machine where you can push a
Oh.
button and get coffee, or no, I want chips, or no, and you're pushing the different buttons. Perhaps you're pushing buttons now for all of your beverages and confections
And ice cream, etc. Yes.
instead of cluttering up the counter, because it's
I
like,
I am
where
so
am I going to put that now?
tired of counter clutter.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
no, go ahead. Seriously, that was a lot of clutter.
Yeah, no, it is. I think that also because that type of thing, especially when we're looking at, all you have to do is take a look at TikTok, take a look at Instagram Reels, and what is the key amongst a lot of TikTokers that show their homes and stuff? They don't have like mountains of stuff. That was for like past generations where stuff was the refuge, and you were taught you work so you can get stuff. But remember, like millennials and Gen Z, their things are experiences. So they own stuff, but not the stuff that older generations own. And so when you look at that like there's so many people like cleaning and simplicity and that type of thing. So it's interesting. It will be interesting to see what role all of these plethora of appliances have. That was one reason that, because I was always interested in the air fryer, but I'm like, I don't want to clutter my counters.
Exactly. Someone offered me one, and I was just like, "Where am I going to put that? Thank you, no."
So what I ended up doing was getting the Black & Decker Crisp and Bake, which is an air fryer / convection oven, toaster oven, and something else in one. So that it takes up one thing. So that's why I was bringing up about these combination appliances.
Right, because it can get out of hand pretty quickly. Okay, so who in here actually uses the oven that stands on the floor?
It is rare.
Depends on what I'm trying to make, because I remember the flood of 2020 that I had to get a whole new stuff. The kitchen and the bathroom had to be completely redone. So I ended up getting new appliances. And with that, the oven in my new stove, hey, it can fly to the moon if I wanted to. So depending on what I'm making, and if I'm trying to make a bunch of different things at once, then I'll use the oven. But believe me, I will use that Black & Decker thing in a moment if I just want something quick.
So here's the thing that what I've been noticing at my house. I have this little thing that sits on the counter, and it's an induction oven. You can put a pan on there as long as the pan has metal. It has to be able to induce the heat, right? So it plugs in, you put the pan on there, you push the button, you cook your food, and you're done. I don't use my stovetop. Mm-hmm. I don't use my oven. I got pots and pans in my oven because I use the like Dr. Tachi says, the convection oven, the little Black & Decker thing. You can use that for toast, although I have a toaster, which is faster than that oven, but I'm not using my stove. My stove is a storage for pots and pans.
No. That's interesting.
No, I do not bake a lot. Now, when Thanksgiving comes and you got to put in a turkey, all the pots and pans have to come out, and you're using the actual oven. But
I guess I am a terrible grandma because I do not use that oven hardly at all. Like,
and it's I mean they even have something now that you can buy. My mom, she has almost every gadget in the world in her kitchen, but you can now buy something to put across your glass stove if you don't use it, that so that you can, that becomes additional
counter space.
Additional counter space.
That's like makes sense.
And then it has,
and that's the cool thing about the glass top stoves, that they're flat.
Yes,
you can actually do that.
Right. And then now they have something for the ones that have burners and gas stoves. It'll be like a little riser.
Yeah, elevate
that goes over the top, and you can still do that same thing. Just to you've recovered some of your shelf, your counter space.
I like that. I like that. Oh, okay. I digress because time is moving on. Let me. Is it okay if we move on? I just want to share one more thing, and then we can move on, because I realize it's almost 8:30. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I want to talk about this Amazon Astro robot. It's a little robot, and it actually has a carrier compartment, so you can send it out and someone can put a beer in it and it'll bring the beer back to you. it stops, it identifies people, and it can do different little things around the house. Let me see here. It says people are taking photos and videos of Amazon's home robot Astro. What's that sound like? The Jetsons?
It sounded like the dog was Astro.
At the, but it's from the Jetsons. You know what I'm saying? Because he looks like a little. He's about the size of a small puppy dog, and he has a little screen on there and big eyes on the screen. So I guess to let you know he heard what you said, and it says. Let's see here. The real world have begun to emerge as early adapters of the invite only smart home gadget start to play around with their new bot. Now this robot costs let me tell you what the cost. Users are showing off what the $1,450 Amazon smart home robot can really do. And he's really small. I'm like, really? You would pay $1,500 for that? Because by the time you do taxes. Um and he basically just sort of moves around like a Roomba with a screen on the
So,
side.
and you just put stuff on it, like send it to the other room, like somebody says, send me
Like
the
you
wrench
can't
or
walk.
something, and you
Yeah.
put the wrench on it and push the button and let it take to
Yes.
somebody else.
Like if you were sitting in the den, I could say, find Francine. Okay. Uh, he come to you, you'd stick a beer in it. He doesn't stick the beer in himself. For $1,500, I want him to open the refrigerator and bring me a beer if I want, or a soda or whatever I'm drinking. You know what I'm saying? Uh, let's see. He, I don't know. To
This is
me, it's
convenience that is not necessary.
entertainment, maybe. Uh,
But if you still got to get up and open the
you know
door
what I mean?
and still have to do things, unlike the robot the full-fledged robot where they get up and walk and open the door and cook
Exactly.
food and stuff.
Like a butler. Yeah. So the guy who was demonstrating it says Astro follows him around when he's home, acting as a portable Alexa smart display that can also carry drinks on its onboard cargo holder. It's like my own little R2D2. He says, my friends and family think it's hilarious. So I say, this thing follows you. Well, yeah, for $1,500, it should follow me. There are some issues, however, including the robot getting confused. $1,500 to get confused when looking for its charging base. And anytime it's near stairs, people begin to pray because they don't know if it's going to throw himself off the stairs. Thankfully, it doesn't appear to have ever thrown itself down the stairs. Okay, so the guy near him who is telling the story from Bloomberg, he says he thinks that the retail price of 1,449.99 okay is a bit steep for what you get. He paid $999, almost $1,000 as an early backer, adding he thinks it should be around $700. They probably could sell a lot of them at $700. Uh, so
I'm thinking it's
what
another
do you think, Doctor?
gadget. It's another gadget am I really going to use that gadget?
You know
And
what I'm saying?
it has to be, each individual person would have to make that decision. But am I going to use a gadget when I can walk?
To those few steps.
Or if your house is bigger than a few steps, maybe it's worth it.
Well, somebody's got to go to the refrigerator and put it in the little carry bin,
Exactly. Because it's not
equipped
to
to do
do,
that.
it's equipped to move things. I don't
Mhm.
know. Anybody in Clubhouse, y'all want to
It
know
doesn't
about
have
Astro?
arms. It does not have arms. It just has a little screen on the front and moves around. It's like a room.
Yeah, see, I'm with you, Dr. Tachi. I'm like, I don't know, man.
You know what I mean? Is it? What is this about?
Terry.
Say what, dear?
I said, go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No. I'm with you. I'm like, what is this about? Astro can learn your floor plan, and take commands to go to a specific room.
Oh
It's
hell! Now you know exactly what. Now you know what the house looks like, so you can wait in the shadows for me to come out. No.
and it also has a screen, so I guess it could record you or whatever. It says it also recognizes faces, so it's got that like on your
Facial
phone.
recognition.
Thank you. And deliver items to a specific person. As a smart display, it can play music. Wow. I think my phone could do that. It can show you the weather and answer questions. Doesn't that sound like there's a phone inside?
It sounds like the
I
stuff
need
that we already have, like
I should strap my iPhone to my Roomba and call it a happy.
it does sound like Roomba. I'm like, Roomba goes around and cleans. At least it cleans the floor and not look at you.
Okay. Tracking stuff, tracking, making tracks all over the place. Okay, I'm done. That's it.
Also, just on, I'm sure you see this on Instagram. Dr. Teresa Sanders says, "Pass, it will turn on you." What I'm saying.
Oh my goodness!
God.
Like,
Indeed.
we don't watch too many movies. I'm like, I don't know, man. Y'all might leave that alone.
But remember, all these robots have AI. AI is machine learning, where it gets smarter and basically simulates human learning.
Right.
So you think that it can't learn to be upset when you mistreat it, because there's always somebody who mistreats something.
Yep. Okay, can see.
Oh my gosh. I hadn't even thought about it getting an attitude. I've got an attitude because it can't do more. I'm like, I could strap this phone to some toy I'm sure that my 2-year-old has and move. She's got a remote. She's got a car, one of those little cars that kids sit in and it runs up and down the street. I could strap my phone to that.
You probably don't even have to strap your phone. You just take your phone and have the app, push a button and let it bring it to you.
Okay.
Yeah, because the phones have machine learning too. Because if you ever looked at your phone, it'll say here are the apps you often use when you get up in the morning.
That's true.
And it's talking to you, telling you, okay, do you want to call so and so? I didn't ask you to ask me about that, but it gives you options because it's learning your behavior. Your phone does do that.
Okay, I'm just saying, maybe not her car that she sits in, maybe a remote controlled car.
Okay.
Duct tape would give me the same effect.
Dr. Teresa Sanders says, nope, government switch in your house and you can let them in.
Oh my gosh, this is too funny. But yeah, so I'm saying for $1,500. Oh, pardon me, $1,450. More specifically, $1,449.99.
It's a dollar past. It's a penny past that. Hey, Kendra. So yeah, I'm not doing that.
No. And you know what it reminds me? Remember when we were talking about that monitor that looked like Felix the cat, that friend that people had that looked like Felix the cat, and his eyes followed you around the room. It reminds me of that.
Yeah, and that was a creepy cat, and now we have Astro something running around on the floor with a screen. No,
yeah, it's. Let's see if I can pull
Dr.
him
Teresa Sanders says snitch. It'll be
basically that's
going on in the house.
That's what I'm thinking. There he is. Can you guys see him?
Yes. So yeah, it looks creepy.
Yeah, he
just oh no, I'm sorry, we're not.
He's just a little screen on top of like a small body. He's not even. He doesn't even look like he's 6 inches tall.
Well, I'm gonna see if I can get the link for this. If you put it in the private chat, and I can put it up over on Clubhouse, and I'll put it in.
Okay, I can put
Instagram
it in
as well.
Here.
I'm like, really? This is just not cute.
There he is in the comments. And I'll put it in the private chat. Yeah, it's a little much. I'm like, for $1,400, I don't think so. It's just not that serious, people. But there he is. He looks like a toy. Quite frankly, those of you who don't have a visual, he looks like a toy, like an iPad strapped to a Roomba.
Mm-hmm. Now, let me see here. Okay. Um, are you finished?
Yes, I'm finished.
Okay. Are you complete? Okay.
I am
So,
complete.
TJ is not going to be with us, but I have a couple of stories that she had over on her Discord channel. And one of the stories involves Clubhouse. You can now chat in Clubhouse.
Mhm.
You can, like we do on Instagram and like we do on other places like here with Facebook and make comments, you can now chat and leave comments. So I turned it on. So if you all would like to test that out, we like to play around here.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
okay. And so I'm putting something in the chat.
Let me turn this down so we don't have an echo.
Right. So I put in the chat the article Terry just talked about, so you all can chat back and do things. And I'm like, wow, they're making some strides. Okay, I see a comment. Hey, Kendra, how are you? I love this. So now you can have conversations with people. Clubhouse has always been good, but there wasn't a way to, comment or say anything.
Mhm.
And now you can. Hey, okay, I want to pronounce your name correctly. Tasha? Tasha. Tasia. Okay.
It's Tasha.
Tasha. Okay, got it. And LaShonda, good morning. So we can leave comments in Clubhouse. Loving it.
And I think that is invaluable because if those people that are in the gallery, or at the not on stage, this gives them an opportunity to participate. And if anybody is being trollistic, you can block them, you can remove the comments, all of that type of thing. So that's also good. I will say this, that we also have to be mindful that we are all in the mode of the back channel. This is not the back channel. So be careful that you're not trying to put something privately and you make a mistake and put it in the chat that everyone can see. This is open to the public.
Right. And if what you're saying is not meant for the public, I take Dr. Tachi's advice there and just make sure that you are on, because there's two places that you can leave information. Back channel, which means not everybody sees it, or open comments in the chat where everybody can see it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Terry. If you don't have the little pigtail on your phone, that is going to keep feeding back.
Okay, I'm going to leave the Clubhouse.
So that is one story that I had.
I didn't want to have all that feedback, but I was able to use the chat, and it is nice to be able to have that because you don't always want to come to the stage.
Right. You just want to say, hey, thank you, or you just want to have a
I
comment.
Can't hear you, Fran.
Say again.
Okay. Hello.
Can you all hear me okay?
Yeah, we hear you fine.
Okay. So we have another story from TJ, and she's talking about she had an article of what are YouTube Shorts and how to use them. And YouTube Shorts, talking about vertical micro videos, have proven to be so popular for a number of platforms because the vertical micro videos have proven to be so popular, a number of platforms, a number of platforms are trying to get a piece of the pie. And we're talking about Instagram Reels and all of those type of things. YouTube is filling a gap of vertical short film videos on its platform as well. So how can brands benefit from YouTube Shorts? YouTube Shorts can be a great way for brands to further engage and increase brand awareness with their customers. More than 70% of all YouTube watch time comes from mobile devices. And since YouTube Shorts is a mobile first feature, you may reach that expanded viewership with more than horizontal long form video content. And this article says it's time to switch things up. Since YouTube Shorts was released in July 2021, this feature has reached 15 billion daily average views. People are watching and loving YouTube Shorts. So if your brand already has a presence on YouTube, consider adding some micro vertical video content into your YouTube marketing strategy. We do.
Okay.
Okay. So if a potential customer finds your brand via Shorts and subscribes, they're automatically subscribe to your long form content as well. That means your longer videos. And so this gives you an entirely new outlet to increase your channel's subscriptions. Okay, and it tells you how to make YouTube Shorts. It's pretty easy. You open up your YouTube app. You can open up your YouTube app on your mobile device and tap the plus sign at the bottom of the screen. Then you tap create a short. And if you never created a short, you'll need to allow access to your camera. And then you create the short. Start recording your video by tapping the red button. Shorts are set up for 15 seconds, but if you tap the 15 above the record button, you can change that to 60 seconds. You can, like most short form video apps, you can flip your camera, adjust the recording speed, set a timer before recording, and these options are available on the menu on the right side of your screen. And you can record multiple segments. And once you're happy with the video, you can also post up a pre-recorded one as well. You can add sound, text, timeline, and some best practices for YouTube Shorts. Post consistently, keep it below 58 seconds, and get creative with your captions. Okay. And you need to record in vertical format so people don't have to turn their screens as they watch the shorts. Make your content relevant to your audience. How-to video, quick reviews, relevant story, industry tips, fun facts, and experiment using a trending soundbite. So play with it. Is anybody here? Does any of you use the Shorts video on YouTube?
I do.
Okay. Anybody? I do also. I've been playing with my Shorts. I got a bit more consistent. I wasn't doing.
You know, this is the interesting thing with it's going to take a minute for it to catch on. It does catch on for some people. If you've already got a large following, it's a way for them to consume your content in a snackable form. But remember, YouTube is dedicated to long form video. And so to get the regular viewer in the mindset of short form takes a minute for them to even know it's there or watch or understand. And it's like, what the hell is this? So, but once it catches on, I think it can catch on. I think they need to figure out exactly what they're going to do with it, as opposed to we're just doing it because TikTok and Reels is big.
Right.
They came after this, so it's like, great, what is the plan? You have it, but nothing in your business plan should just be just because.
Correct. Oh, you mean you have to have a plan? Okay.
Yes, what you love to tout so much.
We need a plan. Okay, those are the two stories that I have from social media. And you know, you need to use, we're in social media. I don't know anybody's using Yellow Pages, or we don't have enough money for television ads. Most of us don't have enough to run a TV ad on the Super Bowl. So we need to be able to utilize. There are so many ways to get in front of your audience. Find out where they are and get in front of them. Unfortunately, Facebook is not maybe the best place unless you have a group of people there and you're constantly in front of them. I'm not sure how is it working. Is Facebook groups working for all of you who have Facebook groups? Are you talking to people? Are they connecting with you? Or is it just like crickets over there? Anybody can come. Go ahead, Dr. Tachi.
I don't have a Facebook group simply because I'm too lazy to aggregate a group of people and post things to it. It's not even that I'm too lazy. It's not in my business plan right now to do that. And it takes work to maintain an active community. But from what I do see is that if you already have an active and engaged community over on Facebook groups, I think it's a great thing. But and not that you can't do it, but if you're starting now, what you have to realize is Facebook is actually experiencing a waning of users because people are just bored. We talked about this morning. They're trying to do all these new things, but Facebook set itself up to be what it is. And so it's really difficult to reach out to new people, although you can. So it takes more work, but my thing is, from what I'm seeing, it's like, if you already have something established, then great, you can cultivate it. But if you're trying to now start it, it's going to be an uphill battle. You have to consider that there are so many other methods of aggregating groups beyond Facebook groups.
Yes.
LaShonda, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I wanted to agree with you. I have multiple groups on Facebook, and they changed the algorithm of how the post came to people. It used to be in your feeds. You didn't physically have to go into a room to do anything. You know, it would come in your feed. If you saw something in one of the groups you were in, you can go in, you can make your little comments and go on. You probably didn't see the other posts that were in the room, but you could see this, similar some posts. Now it's such a hassle for your group members to see the posts unless they actually come into your group. So I love Facebook groups. I have a promotion group, the Social Butterfly Promotion Training Group, and I've had it for probably about 6 or 7 years. And the last 3 years, it has been like pulling teeth to get any engagement anymore. And I used to have daily engagement. And it's because most people, when they come on Facebook, they don't go into individual rooms. They don't go to individual pages. They come to their feed. And whatever shows up in their feed is what they see for the day. So if your stuff is not, if they don't change their notifications, that's the whole thing about Facebook. It's all about notification. So if you don't change the notification, if you like me, it said I had 300 groups on me, and I'm like, oh Lord. So I gotta see all those notifications. So if you got what I've done is I've got favorite groups, maybe my top 10. and I physically went in, changed the notification so it comes into my feed, and I don't miss when somebody posts something that's happening in that group. If your group members do not do that, then they will never see your feed. They'll think that the group closed because they're not going into the groups. And I found that out a lot when I do book promotion, is that they have all these wonderful book promotion groups, and you're thinking, oh, I'm gonna post my books in there and everybody's gonna see it. And I had a book on book promotion, and so I was like, yeah, these authors coming in here, they're gonna see my book and they're gonna buy it. And so I'm posting in all these groups, and I'm getting nothing. I had a little bit.ly link to see if people were clicking it. 0, no clicks. And I'm like, what is going on? All these authors are going in these rooms, posting this stuff. They should see my stuff. No, what they're doing is drive-by promotion. They posting their stuff and they keeping it moving. They not looking at nothing that's in those groups. So if you're posting in groups and the group is not engaged, nobody's talking in those groups, all it is a billboard. And most of the time, the people that you want to see that billboard doesn't even see it. So groups work, but you got to work hard at it to keep the engagement up. You can't be one of those people that want to post once a month, because if your people are excited about the group, if you're posting daily, they're going to see the stuff. If you're posting once a month, that's what Facebook going to do. They'll put you all the way down to the bottom and nobody will see your post. So yes, groups work, but you got to work with it, and you got to make sure that you let your reader, your group people know that they need to turn on their notifications so it works for them too.
All right. Thank you, LaShonda, because that helped a lot. That explained it a lot. She did an excellent explanation for that, because we were experiencing that with BizChicks. I'm like, okay, why am I not hearing from people? And because people don't have notifications turned on. We have had some people say, I thought I'm not getting anything from you guys anymore. So we have to tell people to turn their notifications on, but if they don't get the message telling them to turn the notifications on, then this is going to be a problem.
Then it's just then you just get crickets. Nobody's talking to you. You think you're doing your job, posting the great content, but nobody sees it. And it's because they're not coming into the room. I even did a post on mine and asked, are you coming into the actual group? Are you seeing this in your feed? And most people said, I had to come into the group. I didn't see it in my feed.
And that's where Facebook, I believe, can do better, or because at one point it was in the feed.
They claim that they changed it up, that your personal page, they want it to be more engaging. They want you to have more communication. But what happened was, I think they thought the groups were going to let them do ads. They wanted us to do ads in the group, and we didn't catch on to that. And so they were like, okay, well, we gonna put this my comment. We're gonna put your groups down at the bottom so people don't see it at all. And some people groups are still flourishing because they stayed on letting their group members know that they were, was changing up. But if you have a group where you only go in once a week, you got played. Everybody got pushed down to the bottom.
Right. And so and you can look at different group platforms. There are a lot of different platforms that are coming out now, where we've been experimenting with Circle, and you still going to, like LaShonda said, you're still going to need to engage with the people. You're not going to be able to get away with that without doing that. You're going to have to post, you're going to talk, you're going to ask questions and try to keep engagement going. But there's less clutter on Circle. We just set up a Discord group, and if you guys want to join us over there, Discord was pretty easy because you can talk to people immediately. There was no barrier or anything, and so we have a Discord group as well, just to find out where people are, because some people, they just want to say what they need to say and move on and not do some other stuff. So
can I ask you a question about that?
Sure.
I found that trying to bring people off a platform to another platform is like pulling teeth. Did you get people coming over? Because I have tried to go to different groups because I know how territorial Facebook is. And if you can get your own group on another platform, that'd be great. But it was like pulling teeth to bring people over to Clubhouse. And I just said, you know what? I'm done. I'm tired of trying to pull people over to something new because, that's just another platform I got to try. I don't want to. So I'm just curious, how did you get people to actually follow you over to the new platforms?
Actually, yes. On Circle, people came over. I sent a direct message invite. I didn't go. I did put it in the group. I did actually put it in the group, but then I also did an invite to direct message people. You know what I mean? Instead of, because they'll get the direct message, but they may not.
Yeah, the direct message probably was the best thing to do. And it's a little bit more personal, I think, sometimes, if they don't get offended by it, because some people hate direct messages.
Yeah, and it's just how you write it too. Hey, everybody, this is Fran and Terry. You know, you can't make it sound like you're spamming.
Exactly.
Right. And they know we don't talk a whole lot in direct messages. So, and then I never do group messages. Oh my gosh. I will never send something a group message. You know, like, okay, I'm gonna click all these names and put them all in. I spent the time and did each one individually. Because there's nothing like having group messages and people's like, oh, get me out of this group. Because I do it myself. So. All right, Dr. Tachi, we are ready for This Week in Media, if you're ready.
I am.
All right.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another week of media stuff. So it's a combination of some of the things I talk about Wednesday on Media Scope and some new things that have transpired since Wednesday. So is everybody ready?
We are ready. Okay.
Yay! All right. Well, there are some unfortunate events, obviously, that are going on. We already know about the invasion of Ukraine and how it just, obviously, people who watch international news, this is not something that's coming out of left field. But for people who don't, they're wondering what's happening and what's going on. And so what people are doing are, in addition to turning to traditional media now, because remember, the last time that there have been conflicts all over the place, but the last time that there was really a widely large publicized conflict, social media was not the huge part of it. Now it is. So many people are turning to social media. So with that, you have to be careful, because there is propaganda and fake videos of Ukraine that have been bombarding users. This is according to the Associated Press, and probably according to common sense, because we could probably figure that was going to happen. Mm-hmm. So, you know, all of this is coming faster than the airstrikes are actually happening in Ukraine. So they're claiming to show Russian fighter jets being shot down, Ukrainians dodging for cover in their own homes. Some of these are real, but some of these are not real, or they're old. So you have to be careful with that. So this is actually shaping up to be Europe's first major armed conflict of the social media age, as I was saying. So that's a big part of the reason that people are getting bombarded with all of these images, because there hasn't really been a big conflict in Europe since the dawn of social media. So what's happened is that you're seeing a couple of different messages. So of course we see the unprovoked, the fact that it was unprovoked, these attacks on Ukraine, and then we're seeing stuff on from Russia, or Russians, saying that it was necessary, that this is necessary because they're making allegations of human rights abuses in Ukraine, etc., falsely. So there's a lot of false information that is there. So here's the thing. So they've ramped up false accusations that Ukrainians are committing genocide. They're mischaracterizing the majority of the population as Nazis. And so all of this is coming into play with what you're seeing on social media. So what happens is, and this is why it is so important. How many times do I tell people to check with multiple sources when you're seeing news? If you're seeing the same thing across a myriad of platforms, you can be quite sure that this is, has some level or modicum of truth. But if you're seeing it as a one-off on one outlet and you don't see it anywhere else, you need to wait to see if it's at other places and then question as to the validity and the sanctity of that piece of information. But what happens with social media is things go viral so quickly, right? There was one video that was old of Russian paratroopers. But it was old. It was from the early 2000s or before that, and so they have it there. And then people are thinking, "Oh, this is from the conflict now," without doing the research. So we say John Silva is the director of the News Literacy Project, and it's a nonprofit that works to fight misinformation through education. So he says this: we see a paratrooper, he's speaking Russian, and so we don't take the time to question it. If we see a piece of information that's new to us, we have this compulsion to share it with others because we're trying to keep other people informed, right? How many times do you get something via social media? They go, "Oh, did you hear? They're doing X, Y, Z." I can't tell you how much misinformation I get because of people seeing something, thinking it's real, and then forwarding it on.
Right.
Right.
Because that has been happening since the days of social. You remember all that stuff we used to get on Facebook. Girl, the moon rock is falling out of the sky. Okay, stop sending me stuff.
Exactly. But you also have a level of media literacy. So we're talking about people that don't have media literacy and don't care to have media literacy spreading this misinformation, which actually makes you just as guilty as the person or entities that originated the misinformation by you spreading it. So you're just as guilty. You don't mean to be, but it's like you step on somebody's shoe. You didn't mean to step on their shoe, but you did. You didn't mean to be malicious when you spread it, but you spread it. So we have to all be very careful with everything, but this has particularly come up because of the situation in Ukraine, that there is a lot of false information, old video that's circulating, being touted as connected to this conflict. So I'm just urging all of us to be very careful and double check, and use media literacy when looking at the information from this conflict. So if anybody has anything else they want to add to that, I'm going to move on.
Okay, thank you. And that is very good reminder for us.
Absolutely. All right, let's go on over to a heist. There has been a heist on the set of The Crown that thieves now have stolen over $200,000 worth of antique props from the set of the Netflix series The Crown while the production was shooting nearby. So there were over 350 items that were taken during this heist, including a replica Fabergé egg, a grandfather clock, a dressing table, well, not the clock, but the clock face, a dressing table, crystal glassware, and silver and gold candelabras. So the South Yorkshire, and this is in England, police are investigating the theft, which occurred when 3 vehicles were broken into in a lorry park, lorries are trucks, in Mexborough and Yorkshire while a unit was shooting nearby. So it's not going to affect production, but Netflix has issued a plea to help recover the items. And they said this: "We can confirm the antiques have been stolen and we hope they are found and returned safely. Replacements will be sourced. There's no expectation that filming will be head up." And in a bid to recover these items, if the thieves are trying to sell them, the studio gave a description of some of them to weekly publication Antiques Trade Gazette. So again, it's the Fabergé egg, 12 sets of silver candelabra, 7 gold candelabra, a clock face from a William IV grandfather clock, some Russian religious icons, a 12-piece silver dressing table, and St. Louis gilt crystal glassware and decanters. So They said that they're not necessarily in the best condition because, these are props and therefore they're probably limited value for resale. However, they're valuable as pieces to the UK film industry. So that's what's happening. Just because you're on a film set, you are not safe from theft. But I blame the crew for all of this. Why on earth would you leave things unattended in a truck? That doesn't make any good sense. And then even if there's no intrinsic value in the items themselves because they may be replica, the fact that they're connected to the crown makes them valuable.
Right.
So that was stupid on their part to leave these things unattended. You just locked the door in the truck and they were all over. Why? So that's what's happening over on Netflix's side. So let's talk more newspaper news. The Associated Press has backpedaled after they proudly touted an NFT that they created of desperate migrants. Now, we all know that the NFT space is huge. And everybody's trying to get into it. And the NFT space is an interesting space probably for newspapers and publishers to get in because there is money to be made there. So if you, especially with AP, Associated Press, they're taking photos. They have a lot of these photos that they've taken over the years. And obviously they make money when people license these photos to use in other projects. But another way to make more money off of that is by turning these images into NFTs. So they did an NFT drop. They were promoting, they're promoting their forthcoming NFT drop. And one of the images is of a raft of migrants adrift at sea. So, of course, Twitter will drag you to filth. And Twitter did. And so AP actually deleted that tweet. It was migrants drifting in an overcrowded boat in the Mediterranean, and it gave immediate backlash. One user said this is a grotesque way to earn a profit. And then another one said, wait, hang on. Are you actively monetizing imagery of human suffering? So they told the Daily Beast that it was a poor choice of imagery for an NFT, and the auction has been canned at this point. This is what they said. AP's NFT market is a very early pilot program, and we are immediately reviewing our efforts. Let me say this. I don't give two damns if your program is new or if you started it after Lincoln gave his address. My thing is, you should have enough human proof to know that you should not be profiting off of an image. It's one thing if those images are for sale because somebody took them, people need to be paid, you own them, so you want people to pay for, licensing that. But it's another thing to come into another new marketplace and sell them as NFTs to profit off of them. That was not the best use of your time. And this continuously happens because you don't have diversity on the boards, the editorial boards that make these decisions. Somebody that had a modicum of sense would have said, I don't think that's a good idea to turn that into an NFT. There are all sorts of other things we could do. Why this one? But somebody else said, oh yeah, that would be great. It's a great image. Did you think about the human suffering? No, because you never have to. So this is why we need to have more diversity on editorial boards, etc. But they're trying to dial it back now with that weak apology. It wasn't even an apology. It was an explanation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's a lot of people who are coming out. The NFTs, I don't see them as the older generation. But this is a younger generation that sometimes don't think before they a lot of times it's profit first.
Absolutely. But you are also a news outlet first, and there are journalistic codes of ethics that you're supposed to. So they don't get a pass. You don't get to mess up in this way, and we always give these organizations a pass. I'm like, you don't get to mess up. You don't get to keep messing up. So you can make mistakes, obviously, but you keep making the same mistakes. So are you really adept enough to lead a news organization or why are you still here? That's what I'm asking. Because for some people, you're immediately dismissed when you make small mistakes. But these mistakes are allowed to happen over and over and over again, and there are no repercussions. That's just, in poor taste, and it shows that you don't really have the skill it takes to lead a news organization if you make small mistakes. It is a big mistake, a small thing that became a big mistake.
Right.
Just my thought.
Wow.
Yeah. All right. Moving over to Sasha Baron Cohen, which, here's the thing. If you don't know the name Sasha Baron Cohen, you'll know Borat, the Borat movies. He portrays a fictional character, Borat. And let me be honest, that's all I knew him for.
Yeah.
I didn't realize he was a serious actor, but apparently he is, because he is in talks to join Cate Blanchett and Kevin Kline in Alfonso Cuarón's Apple TV series Disclaimer. So he is an Oscar nominee. He was nominated for Best Supporting Actor in Aaron Sorkin's The Trial of the Chicago 7, for Best Adapted Screenplay, and also Borat, subsequent movie film. So he also was in the critically acclaimed Netflix series The Spy, and then Showtime series Who is America. So he has a little bit of an IMDb presence, an IMDb page. So look for that. Sasha Baron Cohen is in talks with Apple TV for Disclaimer. And like I said, I didn't know he did anything else besides Borat.
Right. And because I guess he's well known for that typecast, if you will.
Absolutely. But you know what? It appears that some people are able to get out of being typecast faster than others. Because, for some people, they would have been forever Borat. But apparently, he's now able to do some other things, which is cool. That's one side of him, that comedic side. He wants to do some other things. So good for him. All right. Well, speaking of Oscar nominated, let's talk about the Oscars. Now, as I reported on Mediascope on Wednesday. I don't know what Monday was, but it was a Mediascope. So on Wednesday, I talked about the fact that the Oscars is cutting back at least 8 categories to being non-televised. So they're going to start an hour before the actual televised show, and they're going to they're going to give the awards to 8 categories, and then the televised show will begin. And I said, you could actually add more to the non-televised part, because we don't need to see most of that. I'm good with a press release. Let's do a pre-show, with the red carpet and the highlights of what happened in the thing. We don't need to sit and watch 3 hours of it. So they decided to cut this back. Well, there has been uproar. A lot in the Academy are not happy with it, but the acceptance of this depends on who you ask. So let me just say that this is hashtag North American or developed world problems when we talk about this, because there's so much else going on in the world. But this is one thing that has happened. So the backlash to taking out those 8 categories from the televised show has been actually swift, and this is from critics and craftspeople that are in this. And one of the things I think is makeup that is being taken out, that type of thing, and not televised. So here's my thing. And the CEO of the Academy said this, that you have to realize that this is also a broadcast. And I'm saying that in a broadcast situation, it's not just about you and getting awards. It's also about getting viewers and keeping viewers, maintaining viewership. If we're bored out of our minds, we're not going to stay. So as much as you all can, it's about this whole argument of the craft versus, staying true to the craft and awarding the craft versus the monetization end of it. That's always going to be an argument. But if you are putting something on TV, you're already lucky that you get 3 hours to do this. Nobody else has 3 hours to do anything on TV. So you're already damn lucky. You have 3 hours. This is on TV. There has to be ads in there. But ads only work and people only advertise next to your programs when you have an audience that wants to see it. And if they don't, advertisers will leave and you have no show. So if you keep every single modicum because it's important to you. Did you ask what's important to the audience? You all were the ones that wanted to televise this because it's a money decision. Let's be clear. It's a money thing. So you wanted to televise this, so you can't be angry or you can't be in your feelings when you want to cut back to stay to the television thing. Then take the whole damn thing off TV and keep it as a private ceremony and give us the highlights. That's what I say.
Yeah, let us watch over on YouTube and get the little clips from over there.
Absolutely. But I think that they would not get the amount of advertising dollars. Let's be real. Television is still the place where most advertising dollars are made. Advertising is starting to be made more online on things like YouTube, etc. But the big bucks, that's still linear television. So people are reluctant to let that go. But you can't have it both ways. You can't have a show in a traditional television space and do what you like and expect to retain this viewer. You think millennials and Gen Z really care that much about, and Gen Alpha for that matter, actually care about the Oscars as a show? Not really. We don't care about it. So I don't want to say that. There are people who care, and I do love the fact that people who have worked hard are getting their just due. I am with any of these award shows. But the average person in the public may not care, and you have to think TV is about audience.
Yes.
Fantastic. So if there's nothing else about that, I've got something that may be of interest to those of you with children or grandchildren. Hulu has nabbed the U.S. rights to Anton's animated family film, Fireheart. So Hulu has acquired the U.S. rights to Fireheart, and it's an ambitious family feature directed by Laurent Zeytoun, who did Leap, and Theodore Tai, who did Kung Fu Panda, with a voice cast headlined by Olivia Cooke, William Shatner, Laurie Holden, and Kenneth Branagh. So this was negotiated with Hulu by Creative Artists Association Media Finance, and then on behalf of the producers. So it's going to debut in the U.S. on Hulu this month. So if you don't know about this film, it's set in New York in the Roaring 20s, and it follows a fearless 16-year-old girl named Georgia Nolan, who dreams of being the world's first ever female firefighter. And when a mysterious arsonist starts burning down Broadway, New York's firemen begin vanishing. And Georgia's father is called out of retirement by the mayor of New York to lead an investigation into the disappearances. So she wants to help her father save the city, and she disguises herself. A group of misfit firefighters to try and stop the arsonist. So I think that's actually kind of cool and cute. So this is coming this month to Hulu. For those of you who have Hulu, check it out. It's called Fireheart.
Nice.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So I have just a few more things that I want to add to this. I talked about this on Wednesday. Are any of you, and I don't know, LaShonda is the author of us, are any of you familiar with the Black Samurai series of books from the 1970s?
No, I am. I can say no for me.
Never heard of them.
Okay, well, you might just get your chance to see what's happening with Black Samurai, because there is a series in the works at Netflix based on Black Samurai, the Black Samurai blaxploitation book series. So Mark Olin, who was the author, wrote a series of 8 books in the 70s that featured an American trained by a samurai master. And Netflix has picked up the rights to this. It is going to be interesting because Olin actually passed away in 2003. He was an Edgar Award nominated writer who in the 70s wrote these pulpy novels that centered around the character Robert Sand, who was an American soldier in Japan and learns the ways of the most powerful martial arts and becomes the Black Samurai. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this transpires. I am, you call it exploitation, but for some, I was really interested, especially when I was in school studying film, really interested in the whole blaxploitation series. So I will be interested to see their interpretation of these books. I've never read any of the Black Samurai books, but I want to see what Netflix's interpretation of this is going to be. Don't know when it's going to drop, but they are actually it's in the works now. So I don't know if they've actually started pre-production or any of that, but it's in the works. So check it out. Black Samurai coming to a Netflix near you. And I have one more story for you guys. Let's talk, actually two more. So I want to let you all know, speaking of Netflix, that they are slated this year to release a record 398 original TV shows. 398, but it could end up being more than that because this is just what we know that is in development or being shot now. We don't know about some of the other projects. So that the final figure could be more than that. So this year they are set to produce 400 plus series. Now, I said this on Wednesday. This is interesting. This is great. Netflix is known for churning out hits. They do this all the time. I'm hoping these are good. And this is why I say that. Even though I don't know that they're producing every single one of these, they're releasing them, but that doesn't mean they produced all of them. They could have just curated some of these. So even though they are releasing all of these, does that mean every single one is good? Probably not. But what I'm hoping is that because the streaming wars are heating up, because everybody's trying to get into the streaming game, that they are not just trying to do this just to get out, that it becomes quantity over quality. And that could very well be the case when you are just trying to get a whole bunch of stuff out. But they have a good track record, but I don't know. So we'll see. So if you see a whole bunch of stuff come across your YouTube queue, your Netflix queue, this is why. Because they're committed to doing this year over 400 original series that they're releasing.
Nice.
Yes. And then finally, let's talk a little bit about, I'll do this. There is something that I'm sure you heard about this already, that there will be a new Black-owned studio, multi-million-dollar production studio in Atlanta, this time owned by a Black woman. It is a $135 million production studio that is opening in Fayetteville, Georgia, which is a suburb just 20 minutes outside of downtown Atlanta. Her name is Tammy Williams. She's going to be the majority owner of this new film and television studio, according to the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Tammy Williams has over 25 years of experience in film and television, and she's also written and produced a whole bunch of projects like films, biographies, documentaries, entertainment, and network news, if you take a look at her IMDb page. So she owned her first digital production company called Tammy Dele Film in 2016, and now she's the first Black woman to own a $135 million studio and post-production facility space in Atlanta. So her business partner is Gary Guidry, I think that's how he says it, and he's an investor of G Square Events and the Black Promoters Collective, and also founded Cinema South Studios. He says that it's really important. We've been patient. This has not been an overnight thing for us, and she's been working on making this dream a reality for 12 years at this point. So congrats to Tammy Williams. Congrats to the city of Atlanta. Tyler Perry, make room, because there is another Black-owned studio in town. And that's what I have for your Week in Media.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tachi. It's like, wow. We always have great information from Dr. Tachi, Terralina, and TJ, all about things happening in the world of tech and media. You can always find us here every Friday, 8 a.m. And now we've included Instagram Live in the Clubhouse. Woo, where are we not? Twitter, Facebook, all points in between. So thank you for joining us today. And we look forward to seeing you on Monday. Next week, Monday, we have, let's see, what do we got going on? Coffee, tea, thoughts, and conversations, where we come up with a topic and we just have a conversation around that topic. And so we're really looking forward to that. Thank you for your comments. I'm loving the comments for for Clubhouse now, and so we're so glad that we can talk with you and get your comments over there and get them up. And then we also have an opportunity for you to join BizChicks. Now, you can join one of two ways. We put the Discord link there, and you can also join BizChicks by texting biz to 33777, and you can join up that way as well. So become a part of our community. We want to hear from you. We want to promote you, and also we're here to help in any way that we can. Thank you so much for joining us. TJ will be back on Tuesday, and always remember to go to the front of your own line. We will see you next week. Thank you, everyone.